Okay, so we keep this whole series as anatomy of questions, and here we want to discuss about the detailed structure of a question, because if you understand the structure of a question very clearly, you can answer them fast. Okay, and sometimes understanding the structure is more important, even important than knowledge of the subject itself. So today we will talk about unit 1 and unit 2 questions. Okay, so 6 questions from each unit. Approximate number of questions you can expect from these units in parts in CSIR NET exam. So this okay, so we are back with another season of this anatomy of a question, and this is all about unit 11, that is evolutionary biology. We've been talking about all the other units as well. Unit 11 for evolutionary biology, people don't know what kind of question generally being asked. That's why I also accumulated few of the type of question, almost all the type of question possible to ask from unit 11. They ask Hardy-Weinberg problems, which I have not included in here because we have solved that in the biomath classes, or we'll probably solve it later in the biomath classes. So we haven't included it. Apart from the Hardy-Weinberg, I included all the problems, math problems. Generally they ask like Hamilton's rule, problems regarding the fitness. It's very important to understand fitness concept very well, and also regarding the different types of natural selection, stabilizing selection, disruption selection, as well as directional selection, questions like that. So let's talk about that now in this question. Okay, so let's begin here. A few events in the history of life on earth are given below. A, radiation of mammals and birds, flourishing of insects and angiosperms. B, primitive plants and fungi colonize land, diversification of echinoderms, seed plants appear and all, earliest birds and angiosperms appear, invasion of land of primitive plants and arthropods, mass marine extinction, reptile radiate and all. So many different situations are provided. Okay, and they also provide us different time frame during the geological period. So we need to put the different events occurred at different geological periods. So this question is directly from the geological time scale, and they ask this question every single year. Every single NET paper you will find 1 or 2 questions sometimes from geological time scale. So if you remember that, if you mug it up, the picture I'm going to show you, if you remember this one, it will be enough to understand everything. Every single detail is provided regarding the mass extinction, as well as the importance of the events, now what happened during that time, which is also provided. Okay, so mass extinction, marine extinction. So what we can tell from here is something of a, if you know this you can answer, otherwise there is no way to answer that. It's not listed in there anyway. So what I can tell is that this A, that is radiation of mammals and birds, this is in the tertiary period. So if you look at here, there are different period: quaternary, tertiary. The period are mentioned, Triassic, Permian and all. They are listed in here. Okay, so tertiary period will be associated with A, radiation of mammals. So one important thing is that you can see that in all these statements, if you look at A, all the 4 are different. You know, I will teach you one way to answer this question fast. If you know one property, you can answer that. When there are so many options, find out those A, B, C, D, E, F among them. Find out those which are different in all the sections. For example, C is different in all the sections: Permian, Silurian, Devonian, Jurassic. D is also different, and A is also different. So you need to know either A, C or D to answer the question, because if you find one of them correctly, you know the answer. For example, as I said, let's say we only know the radiation of mammals and birds take place in the tertiary. Okay, or you know the seed plants appear in the Devonian period. If you know that, then you can answer it, because the only way, the C is Devonian, there is only one option where C is Devonian, and there is only one option where A is tertiary. That's the way to solve this question. You cannot just look for every single details, because you may not recall every single details even though you read and remember. You may not recall. Along with this, because these are only mass extinction that is written, there is also other graph in the blueprint book also provided, where you find out the important events in different eon, era, period and epoch. Generally the period they use, or epoch sometimes they also use. Okay, so this is the easy way to solve it. Which of the following statement is not correct regarding effect of genetic drift? Now, generally there is a lot problem you need to face answering this type of problems. There is always a problem, because this is not combination type, this is not matching type. So this question requires the in-depth analysis of all the options very carefully, and the options are very closely placed. Like this one, if I read it, which of the following statement is false regarding the effect of genetic drift? It alters allele frequency substantially, only a small population. True. It can cause the allele frequency to change randomly. Right. It can lead to a loss of genetic variation within population. Right. All the three are right. Obviously the fourth one is wrong. So it can cause harmful alleles to become eliminated. If you read it couple of times, you can think like a genetic drift is a random process. Random chance, right? Sampling error generates the variation. So that may cause a allele to be eliminated. It may also cause a allele to be fixed, right? Both can be done. So we cannot say that this fourth statement is entirely false. We cannot say that. It is a possibility. But the genetic drift does not have any outcome, fixed outcome of causing harmful alleles to become eliminated. There is no fixed outcome. If that is the case, then we should use the genetic drift in couple of times. It's not regulative. It's not regulatable actually, because this is an event. This is a random event. So still, although we can choose option 4, because rest of the 3 options are really correct. That's why we choose option 4. But technically option 4 is not false totally. Okay. Individual A performs to another individual a behavioral act which has fitness consequence. Match the behavioral acts A to E with the correct fitness consequence that is present 1 to 4. Now generally this question is from the inclusive fitness, the spite, adaptive altruism. There are many terms like that. Okay, if you don't know the terms, you cannot answer. In classes we have discussed about altruism, reciprocal altruism and inclusive fitness, cooperation, those studies. But adaptive altruism and spite, these things you don't know. But spite is something which is not good, we know that. Okay, so let's try to solve this. So how to answer this kind of questions? So if I look at here, that the cooperation, which among these 4 explains cooperation very well? Gains direct fitness but after delay, loses inclusive fitness, gain indirect fitness, gains direct fitness but immediately. So cooperation is something that occurs immediately, instantly. So cooperation will be gain direct fitness but immediately. Okay. Spite is something, what should be spite? C. Means bad, right? Spite means it will be loss. Spite is a loss of inclusive fitness. So C will be 2 and cooperation will be 4. So if you know that cooperation will be 4, that means A will be 4 and spite, that is C, will be 2, then find it out. A is 4. There is only one option where A is 4. There are 3 options where C is 2. Now this is the beauty. If you know the statement that spite is bad, you can only eliminate one option. But if you know that cooperation is gaining direct benefit but immediately, then you can eliminate all the options and you get the answer. So the options, you will not just select right answer by reading only one option. Not always. It's not possible always. For few statements which are difficult to know, they keep that statement separated. So because many people know that spite is bad, loss of inclusive fitness, even not knowing what spite was about, knowing this word that spite means something, for spite people do bad things on others. So knowing that meaning can also, some people can go close to answer that. That's why they keep the spite value fixed in 2 options. So if you know the, I mean, three options, but if you know that cooperation is direct fitness gaining by immediately, you can answer, you can eliminate all the three, you can only left up with the right one. Similarly for E as well, the reciprocity gains direct fitness but after delay, that is so reciprocal altruism. What happens in reciprocal altruism? The process of benefit works, it's a benefit, right? It's a fitness, not inclusive fitness, it's a direct fitness, right? But the fitness is received any point later, right? If I help a friend of mine now, if I help you now, let's say you are going to help me later on in future somewhere, so this is a direct fitness received later. So if you know that E equals 1, that also works. Option 1 should be correct, rest of them will be wrong. So reciprocity is the type of reciprocal altruism actually. So that's what we know. So you need to know either reciprocity or the cooperation idea to answer the question even fast. Okay, the list is given here. Adaptive altruism occurs when they gain indirect fitness. Okay. And when they cause deceit or manipulation, loses the inclusive fitness. Spite also loses the inclusive fitness. Okay. Sorry. Now this question. Assume that individual A wants to do an altruistic act to individual B, and that benefit and cost of doing that act is fitness unit 40 and 12. Cost of doing this act, benefit and cost of doing this act. So benefit is 40, cost is 12. According to Hamilton's rule, A should perform the altruistic act to B if only B is his nephew, niece, grandson or granddaughter or daughter or son. So if you don't know about the Hamilton's rule, then this question sound Hindu to you and you need to remove this question, release the question. But if you practice it, remember the class, we have talked about it earlier. Okay, we know Hamilton's rule suggests small r capital B must be greater than capital C. Capital C is the cost of the act, capital B is the benefit provided to the receiver, R is the genetic relatedness. So we know the B is 40 into, we need to find out the R value, must be greater than C, C is 12. So what should be present as R multiplied to 40 gives us more than 12. That's what we need to figure out. So the genetic relatedness, there are 4 options between nephew, niece, grandson and daughter. Okay. Okay. So the genetic relatedness between, let's say this is your father or mother, whatever it is, whoever it is. This is your grandfather. This is you, your son or daughter. Okay. So your brother. So the genetic relatedness between you and your father is 0.5. Between you and your brother, 0.5. Between you and your son, 0.5. Means half. Right? So this is half. And this is also between your grandfather and your father, half. So between you and your grandfather, 1/4. Right? And this is your uncle, brother of your father, uncle. Between your father and uncle is half. So between you and your uncle, half, half. You and your father is 1/4 and your uncle will be 1/8. That's how it works. That's the genetic relatedness table. I'll provide you a table with that as well. Okay. Now the question is, here we want to find out this nephew, niece, grandson, granddaughter, daughter or son. So daughter or son has the relation of half. So 40 into half. Is it greater than 12? Yes. 20 is greater than 12. Fine. So it's fine to provide benefit to daughter and son. Now if you think about nephew or niece, that is one step down. There will be less than half. So either it will be 1/4 or it will be 1/8. So if it's 1/4, then it's 10, which is less than the cost. So as the value of 1/4 is less than the value of cost, that is 12, then no other relationship is enough to provide the favor to that person. The only relationship that you will care for providing the favor is if that person is your daughter or is your son. So that's why in this case it will be daughter or son. Following are the main events of defense employed by prey species against predator types of defense. Okay, so many different defense mechanisms are listed against the predator species in here. Okay, so chemical with postmatic coloration, chemical with aposematic coloration A, cryptic coloration B, Batesian mimicry C, intimidation display D. 4 are the different approach for a prey to survive itself. Okay. The prey species are listed: grasshoppers, seahorses, wasps, hoverflies, bombardier beetles and ladybird beetles, and many butterflies and frilled lizard, okay, and porcupine fish. We know coloration is nothing to deal with the porcupine fish or frilled lizard. So frilled lizard and so you need to know at least one or two of them. Now which one you should know, which one you know, now depends on your study. If you're from zoology, you have a different study. From microbiology, people have little difficulty understanding this kind of questions. Anyway, we know one thing, that these grasshoppers and seahorses, they use cryptic coloration, and or else if you know that the frilled lizard or porcupine fish causes the intimidation display, that is 4 goes with D, means D is 4. So if you know that D is 4, then we can eliminate only option 2, rest of the options are still in the place. So we need to know something else. Butterflies, for example. What about the butterflies? Butterflies provides the coloration from outside, that is known as the Batesian mimicry. This is a typical, at least I believe most of you know this name, Batesian mimicry, provided by the coloration of butterflies or ladybird beetles. Seem like the predator from the outside. So for that reason, B will be 2, C will be 2. So this is A, B, C, but C will be with 3. Grasshopper, wasps. Think about butterflies, which is 3, and that is okay. So for answering this question, you need to know a little bit about the animal behavior, particularly the behavior for survival for prey species. So one of that we already figured out, that is the the porcupine fish and frilled lizard with this intimidation display. Apart from that, there are these 3 things. I first explain that so that you can understand and answer on your own. Aposematic coloration, cryptic coloration, Batesian mimicry. Aposematic coloration means the coloration in some way looks like poisonous, so that the predator species don't eat them. Cryptic coloration is a camouflage coloration. Okay, so the coloration is such kind that it gets camouflaged with the environment. And Batesian mimicry is turning the structure in such a way looks like a predator species itself. That means sometimes lizard, they try to change their tail in such a way it looks like a snake, to to frighten their predators so that they can go away. So now the aposematic coloration, that is A. If you think about, butterflies are aposematic coloration, they follow aposematic coloration because butterfly, they have this coloration looks like poisonous. Many ladybird beetles also can do that. And on the other hand, the Batesian mimicry, if you think about the Batesian mimicry, that is C, it goes with the wasps and hoverflies. Okay, so that's why the C will be with 2, and this aposematic coloration A will be with 3. So A with 3 C with 2, and D with 4. The only option we have this is with option 3, because there is other options like B with 1. If you know what B is all about, because if you even before answering this question, if you study the options, and again as per our rule, if you try to find out those options which are different in all the aspects, which is either option A, all different, or option B, I mean either for A and B. So find out what is linked with or B is linked with. So if you know aposematic coloration is with the butterflies, you immediately know the answer. You don't need to read even any other options from there. So this is even the faster way to answer the question, but you can do that if you know about the basics of what aposematic coloration, cryptic coloration, Batesian mimicry, at least one or two of these four type of processes. Okay, let's move. Let's move on. In the evolutionary tree given below, terms A, B, C, and D and E represent respectively. Now, in the options, if you look at, this is all about the positioning of different human species in this cladogram. And if you don't know about the human evolution, you cannot answer that. And actually, we haven't talked about that in the classes because these questions are rare. But still, if they ask you any question, for that reason, I keep it here in this case. The only thing you need to know is that this is E, means today, means obviously this is the modern Homo sapiens. And at the end, E, everything is Homo sapiens, so there is no way you can eliminate any option. Now the question is, apart from that, D and C should be the example of two different species of human which has a common ancestor very close, not very distantly but very close, not that much 1 or 2 million years ago, but very closely. And the example here are, either Denisovan, Neanderthal, or Denisovan. I mean, how exactly they are placed? Denisovan, Neanderthal. Obviously there is not Denisovan here. Denisovan obviously will be there. Now either Denisovan, Neanderthal, CD, there should be Denisovan, Neanderthal. You need to remember the closest here, D will be Denisovan and C will be the Neanderthal. If you know that, you can come close. Neanderthal, Denisovan, Homo sapiens. And if you see, there is only one option carrying this 3 at the end, C, D, E. Apart from that, the B will find out Homo, this is the B, and Homo erectus start from A. The journey started from Homo erectus. Another very interesting fact, if you know the journey started from Homo erectus at the beginning, you can eliminate option 2 and 4. So you only have option 1 and 3. From there, if you know that this D and C, they have a Denisovan and Neanderthal, has a common ancestor nearby, then you can select option 1. This is how to go close to this answer. Now this is the actual cladogram. If you look at the divergence of human lineage, the common ancestor goes like here, million years ago if it's listed here. Then this is the branch here. From this branch, there are two types, Denisovan, Neanderthal. And then from the other branch totally we have African, and then another branch, from that branch French, Han, Melanesian. You should remember this cladogram, so that in future times, cladogram, phenogram, whatever, in future times in NET, if they ask any question from there, you can answer it. The French, and they have a totally separate thing. But the thing is here, from this Neanderthal as well as from this intermediate of the French, before the ancestor of the French, they have interbreeding. And also between the Denisovan and Melanesian, there is also interbreeding. Melanesian, those with the dark, heavily pigmented skin. Okay, so this is how they are all evolved. Assume that the terms of genetic fitness, the benefit of performing an altruistic act to a relative is 500 units and the cost involved 150 units. So the benefit 500 unit and the cost 150 unit. Okay. Following Hamilton's rule, the act should be performed if the relative is only a brother, nephew, stepsister, only a stepsister. Now, R into B must be greater than C. So we need to find R. We know the B is 500, should be more than 150. Now R, if it's half, if the R value is half, which is exactly the idea for the brother, you know, you have the 50% genetic relatedness with your brother. So for brother it's half, for nephew it's not half, because it's 1 by, because you and your brother, and it's a son of your brother. So the relation between your son, your brother's son and the brother is half, and between you and your brother is half. So it will be 1 by 4. So if we put 1 by 4 into 500, that will be less 125, which is less than 150. So being nephew or niece will not receive any help. Being stepsister, because stepsister means it's not a 50% similarity, 1/4 similarity, no chance of receiving any help. The only way you can help is if the value of R, genetic relatedness, is at least half, even more than half, but it should be half. So then only we can get, because we get 250 which is greater than 150, then only we will take it. So following Hamilton's rule, the act should be performed if the relative is only brother, not brother or stepsister, because brother has a half relation, but with stepsister the relation relatedness is not half, it's much less. The body weight of an adult female of a strain of Drosophila is 1.8 plus minus 0.45 milligram. Plus minus is the mean standard deviation, like the plus minus 0.045 milligram is a standard deviation. In a laboratory experiment, each of the three groups A, B, C of this strain was subjected to a different types of selection pressure having influence on the female body weight. After many generations of experimental selection pressure, the body weight changed as follows. Group A, B, C, and we see the body weight change. The body weight distribution, normal distribution is 1.8 plus minus 0.45 milligram. Okay. Now, this is what we saw in group A, 1.8 plus minus 0.08 milligram, which is also very normal. Okay, the deviation is 0.45, this is 0.08, very normal. Now in this case, in the second one, you see the weight became 1.4 and 2.2. So few are with 1.4, few are with 2.2. Okay, and the body weight distribution for group C has 2.2 much increased, plus minus 0.08 milligram. So if we are looking at the question is all about directional stabilizing and disruptive selection, to find out all this, okay, all these details. So how to find it out? We know in all the selection, stabilizing selection means it will remain as it is. It will remain as it is. And if we have terminal values, then it's disruptive. For disruptive, you will have this kind of interaction. For low as well as for high, both the case, you will see maximum individuals. For stabilizing, the same value will be stabilized, will be fixed. And for directional, it will be changed from one value, which may be small value, to big value. In this case, the earlier value was 1.8, now it is 2.2 as it's telling. So if you look at group A, earlier it was 1.8 plus minus 0.45, now it is 1.8 plus minus 0.08, so it's stabilized, means the weight remains the same, isn't it? So this is a stabilizing selection. In the group B, it's bimodal. That means, many individuals we find out with the weight 1.4 milligram and many with 2.2 milligram, but not anyone with 1.8 or near 1.8. That means it's a disruptive selection. And the group C, where we have 2.2, means normally it was 1.8 earlier, now it's 2.2, so it's increased towards the direction from low to high, so it's directional selection. So A stabilizing, find out any question with A stabilizing, there is only one option, 3, A stabilizing, B disruptive, and 3 directional, that will be the answer. So option 3 is the correct option, because when you know the group A stabilizing, you can eliminate all the other options and you can stick with it. So again, this question is really interesting because this kind of question you should always ask for in the exam, and whenever they ask this question, you should always dig into answering this question, because it's all from the basics and concepts. If you know the concepts well, you can clearly answer that without any glitch. Okay. Okay, so now how to answer this one? Assume that individual A wants to do an altruistic act to individual B, and that benefit and cost of doing this act in fitness unit 40 and 12 respectively. Benefit provided 40, cost of doing the act is 12. According to Hamilton's rule, A should perform the altruistic act only if B is his. So this question is from the altruistic behavior and the Hamilton's rule for altruism. If you don't know what altruism is or what is Hamilton's rule, you cannot answer this question. No chance. But if you know that, because if you attend our class, if you know definitely, then you should answer this question. It's easy, because as per Hamilton's rule, it is RB greater than C. Small r is the genetic relatedness between the altruistic favor provider and receiver. Capital B is the benefit of the work, and capital C is the cost for the work. So obviously the benefit with relatedness must be greater than the cost of the work, and in this case it's provided that the benefit is 40. We don't know the R, we need to find out the R. C, cost is provided 12. So at what value of R the equation gives us more than 12? That's what we'll find out. But how exactly we measure the genetic relatedness? The genetic relatedness are measured in very simple way. Let's say this is I can explain this like this is you, this is your father. Okay, I can share you a table for the genetic relatedness for ready reference. That with yourself it's 100% means 1, with your identical twin it's also 1, with your parent half, with your grandparent or grandchild 1 by 4, with your great grandparent or great grandchild 1 by 8, and with your sibling sister or brother half, with your half sibling means two parents, if you have like two father or mother, in that case 1 by 4, aunt and uncle 1 by 4, niece nephew 1 by 4, great aunt great uncle 1 by 8, first cousin 1 by 8, and first cousin once removed 1 by 16, second cousin 1 by 32, second cousin once removed 1 by 64, third cousin 1 by 128. Generally in this equation they will not give you question more than 1 by 8. Okay, now exactly how they calculate it, because you don't need to remember it always, you can calculate that. So this is between your father and you, and let's say this is your uncle because the brother of your father, and this is your grandfather. Okay, so grandfather and your father, the relatedness is half. Between your father and you, relatedness is half. Okay, between you and your brother, relatedness is also half. Now if I want you to calculate the relatedness between you and your grandfather, that would be 1 half into another half, 1 by 4. Your father with you and your father, and then your father with your grandfather. And for a great grandfather, relationship between your grandfather and great grandfather was half. So half into half into half. So between you and your great grandfather will be half into half into half, 1 by 8. Okay. Now between your you and your uncle, because between you or uncle and your father the relatedness is half, just like you and your brother, half relation. So between you and your uncle will be half into half, 1 by 4. Similarly, your brother's son, that is a nephew or niece, you take as a daughter. So between your nephew and your brother, half. So between you and your nephew, half because of you and your brother, and half with your nephew with your brother. So half into half, 1 by 4. This is how you find it out. Okay, so keep it aside. Now for a nephew the relatedness is 1 by 4, for niece 1 by 4, for grandson 1 by 4, for daughter and son half. So either the option is the R value should be half or 1 by 4. Now if we know that, we can easily know, because that 1 by 4 is present in 3 options and only one option is correct. So obviously the option 4 is correct, because if nephew is correct, then niece should be correct, then grandson granddaughter should be correct. So by knowing that, we know it without even calculating the math. But now if we calculate R value to be half, it becomes 20, and 20 is greater than 12. So it's fine, right? But if the R value is 1 by 4, then 10, and 10 is less than 12, so it will not work, right? So the only way you will perform this altruistic act if the receiver person is your daughter or son, otherwise there is no chance. If they give you like whether the receiver person your brother or sister, that also works for it, but that's not present in the option. Okay, so that's how you solve it. Yes, the answer is yes. If you ask yourself this question, that can you qualify CSIR NET Life Science exam within 6-month preparation? Yes. And if you don't need to believe me, just see the results that our students are getting who joined Shomu's biology coaching for 6-month period of time.
So I'm really thankful for Shomu's biology, and I would suggest everyone to go for it.
A lot of help and support by Suman sir, always remembered in my mind.
The study materials I got helped me to understanding the topic very well, and the test series helped me to covering up the syllabus in a perfect time.
This is all because of the online test series.
In-depth knowledge what Shomu's biology gave me. I want to thank Shomu biology. I want to thank each and every member of Shomu's biology for their effort, whatever they are putting on us.
And I am very much happy to choose Shomu sir for my CSIR NET GRF journey.
It really leveled up my preparation. I was confident on the day of exam.
The classes helped me a lot to understand my subject from very basics to advanced level.
So I really thanks Shomu sir and also ma'am for always guiding me.
With proper guidance, roadmap, and the help and training with perfect amount of study material and how to utilize them, the resources, everything together can help you qualify that. I am the person who will help you reach to the pinnacle of your success and your journey for the CSIR NET Life Science examination. If you trust me, if you trust my lectures, then join Shomu's Biology online coaching. Registration is going on. The details are there in the description. Fill the form to reach out to us or simply contact the number given in this video.